Hey guys, it's Miss Passahow here, and I am going to do two short videos today. One will be on the different kinds of revising versus editing versus proofreading that you'll be doing to your essays. And this is something that isn't just for the literacy narrative, but can be used across any kind of essay that you happen to come across. So if you want to follow along with the visuals that I have next to me, you can go ahead and open up the peer review and revision PowerPoint. And I am starting on the second slide, the one that has the Venn diagram on it. So that is what I am using as my guide, as my visuals. And that is what I will be probably pointing to and referring to over the course of this video. So, revising versus editing, as we can see from this Venn diagram, there is some crossover, but revision is more big picture stuff, and making it sound better, making it flow better. And editing is smaller sentence level stuff to make it look better. So on the revision side of things, we have adding, changing, or deleting parts of a piece to help the writing flow better. Turning worn out words into vivid words, so maybe grabbing your thesaurus and changing up your vocabulary a little bit. Coming up with an interesting lead-in that hooks the reader, and a conclusion that sums things up well. Adding specific descriptions, explanations, and details, and organizing ideas in an order that makes sense. So I have given feedback to everyone's rough drafts that I've received, and you may have noticed me commenting on things like this. You know, I feel you could expand here, I feel you could use a little more detail here. Think about shifting your vocabulary to something a little more academic, that sort of thing. So that's usually the sort of thing that I comment on when I'm doing my feedback and revisions. Then there's editing, which is making a piece look better. It's adjusting and making sure all your capital letters are in the right place. It's correcting misspelled words, adding, deleting, or changing punctuation, fixing citations if you have citations, and making sure all of your paragraphs are indented. I would go ahead and add making sure that your paper is double spaced for ease of reading. But it's those smaller details that just make the paper look a little bit neater and a little bit more professional. But both of these together help the reader read along more smoothly, and it improves the quality of the writing. So on the next slide, we have a little more in-depth focus at revision. So revision is something that is done throughout the whole writing process. You can constantly be revising something, but most major revisions happen in the first couple of drafts. Your focus should be on bigger issues, organization, audience, content, the overall flow of things, evidence to support your claims, and your conclusion. One really good tip that I've been given and that I will pass along to you is if you're worried about the organization and flow of your essay, you can read it out loud to yourself, and if it sounds like something's a little bit off, then it's going to sound a little bit off to your audience when they read your work. So you can catch details like that a little bit better when you read things out excuse me, out loud. On the next slide, we have editing. And editing is done also throughout the writing process with more of an emphasis on the middle and final drafts. So you want to get the big picture things, the revision things out of the way first. And then you can focus on the smaller details. So these are technical issues. Oh, I've included flow in this one. Flow, I think, goes both under revision and editing. So you have overall flow and cohesion, word choice, grammar, transitions. Do your paragraphs transition nicely from one to the next? Does the order of your paragraphs make sense? And then textual inconsistencies. So making sure that you're using one standard version of English throughout your paper. So whether that be American or British, or any other dialect there within, just make sure you're being consistent with it. So for instance, I use British English because I lived in Canada for a while. So I put U's where U's generally are not. In American spelling. I spell things with an RE instead of an ER. But I make sure that I do that all the way through the document. So Word yells at me the whole way through. Last but not least, we have proofreading, and proofreading is reserved for the final draft. It's focusing on the really minute details, the sentence level, the word level details. So mechanics and presentation, you're making sure that your MLA formatting is correct, double-spaced, 1-inch margins, making sure all your indents are at the beginning of your paragraph, that your spelling is correct, you don't have any major spelling errors, your punctuation is generally speaking where it needs to be. I don't focus too heavily on punctuation, but some people do. Like I said, making sure that the format is correct. And then typographical errors, so any typos that you have, any, you said one word and you meant another, that sort of thing is what proofreading is all about. So as you go through the drafts of your essays, I recommend looking at bigger picture things first, making sure that all of your words, all of your paragraphs are in the order that you want them to be in, and then you can go in and dig a little deeper and look at sentence structure, look at style, look at formatting, and things like that. The articles that we read for today also have really good revision versus editing tips. And some good pieces on why we revise. Nothing comes out perfect the first time, and you want to turn in your best work. So you go back through and you look through it, and you make sure that you're giving your professor or your boss or yourself even the best work that you can be. So that is the difference between revision and editing and proofreading. And the next video will talk about how to be a good peer reviewer for your fellow students.